what are some of the differences?
Oh gosh.
You know, I guess, or is it really that different? I guess I am curious though. What are some of the differences that you're experiencing?
Yeah. We'll start. It doesn't make sense to start serious and then do kind of some of the like more Nietzsche stuff, but no, Nietzsche was a guy. Nietzsche. What's that word?
Niche.
More niche.
Niche
stuff. Yeah. So in any organization, especially a school, you get everybody together in a room and you have to build common ground. And the common ground and the rallying cry in public school is we're here for the kids. We're here for the kids. Everybody's here for the kids. We're doing this because this is going to benefit kids. We're not doing this because this is going to hurt kids or it's not going to help them. And you have to talk about that and you have to reference that a lot. Being at a Christian private school, we take no money from the federal government. We take no money from the state government. So they literally can't tell us anything. They've got no control over us. So when we sit down in a room, we don't have to come to that common understanding because we all have this common understanding that we are here because we love Jesus. Mm-hmm. And it makes everything different. I'm doing the same job, have the same problems, have the same struggles with work-life balance, have the same joys and the same, I don't think I said challenges yet, but if I didn't say challenges, but to be able to do it in a way where I can talk about my faith, in public school, it was always, I want to act in a way so that at some point, this child, this adult is going to say there was something different about him, and then one day they'll say, oh, it was Jesus, he loved Jesus. But I can never say that, where now it's like saying and talking about Jesus is embedded in everything. Mm-hmm. And it's this weird other muscle. It's like I've been a Christian most of my life, I love the Lord, but now in a work setting I'm constantly like, someone's like, oh, can we pray now? It's like, oh my gosh, yes, of course. Like, how did I forget about that?
Sure.
But then other things, one of the first things, it just blew my mind. And I think this is a great example of difference between public school and private school, is in the workroom at CPA, I was asking somebody, it's like, where can I get markers? I need markers, dry erase markers. And like, oh, and they pull this tub down that was just full of Expo markers. I literally reached my hand down to my elbow in Expo markers. And it's like...
In the tub of Expo markers?
Yeah, like that many.
Oh, wow.
That much Expo markers. And it's like... right now, Creve Hall is fundraising so that they have the money to buy supplies and stuff.
Yeah. So like, you weren't reaching elbow deep into a tub of Expo markers at Creve Hall.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it a difference in priorities between the two, or is it just that the private school has so much more money to work with?
Yeah.
Just more money.
One, you're in charge of how much money you have. I think probably per pupil spending, we're probably on the same, and not to get too dorky, but a kid in Metro, anywhere from $10,000 to $12,000 is what you get. So principals have... That's what the school gets paid? Yes.
Oh, okay.
So you lose 20 kids, you're talking about you're losing probably like, what was that? $240,000.
Oh, I didn't know it worked like that.
It does.
Oh, so you actually get paid by the system per kid. Mm-hmm. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. And then you manage your budget from there down.
Yeah. So then it's like, well, we lost kids, so people are going to lose their jobs. Or what we were able to do was we were able to strategically work with the PTO at Creve Hall, who were fantastic, to buy things like supplies, mm-hmm. which allowed me, the biggest budget surplus after nobody gets fired. That was always the goal of budget season. Nobody loses their job. The biggest budget I had after that was $30,000. So that doesn't include paper. That doesn't include pencils. That doesn't include computers. That doesn't include software. And then the lowest amount that I had after budget season was about $12,000.
You're saying after you paid the teachers?
Yeah.
Do you have to pay rent, or is it like it's rent free? Like you got a budget for rent out of your $10,000 to $12,000?
We don't have to pay that, but we did have to pay per copies.
What do you mean per copies?
So every copy that the teachers make on the copy machine,
okay,
we get a bill like 3 months later.
Oh,
it was the worst. It's like, well, okay, we always set, it was like $2,500 my first year that we set aside for copies, and then I will it down to $1,500, and then had a new bookkeeper, and Kim's fantastic, and she was like, we need more money for copies. I was like, no, we don't, Kim. We can't afford. So it's like you're throttling people on copiers, but then it's like workaround. PTO buys us like a machine that you can make tons of copies on over and over, but it has to be the same thing. Well, that doesn't count copies. So there's all these little things that just constantly nickel and dime. And if you're a school like Creve Hall, now the other end of that are schools with high poverty, which are called Title I schools. If you're a title school, you get major change because you're getting extra money from the federal government.
Oh, you're saying a title school is better funded than a non-title school?
Yes, because, think about it this way. When you're dealing with kids who are coming from, think about your kids, right? Your kids are getting experiences in life. They're going to the grocery store. They get to go to work. They are living in a 2-parent household. So you deal with kids who are coming from extreme poverty type situations. Well, they may not have 2 parents, or they may, but they never get to see them because they're always working. It takes a lot more money to provide the same level of education, the same experiences.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's not fun to talk about.
Sure.
Because it's like, well, I can either knowingly as a dad say, yeah, these kids who aren't in my family, who don't live in my community, they need more money. I want them to have more money. It's like, yeah, I feel that way, think that way, until I have to cut a check. And then it's like, no, I don't want to do that. That's the rub with education.
Yeah, that makes sense. So if it's that different between a public school and a private school, is there still a good case for parents to send their kids to public school if they could, afford essentially to go to a private school? Like, how do you think
100%.
about public school, private school now?
That's a good question. How do I think about public school, private school now? I don't love so a charter school is a specialty school that receives a charter, which basically is like, we exist to fulfill this reason. The governor either has to sign off to put you into existence. The school board has to put you into existence. When I was in Indiana, there were charter schools like, we are serving only deaf kids. We are trying to fill the niche because we don't believe the public school can meet the needs of these kids as best as we can. I'm like, I love that. Down in Nashville, and again, my oldest kid went to a charter school for 1.5 years for middle school. It's like, well, I don't know why they have that.
You don't know why they have charter schools?
I don't know why there continues to be more and more charter schools. I don't know what is the specific void that they're filling that traditional public schools aren't doing, or even private schools. So, but that's a rabbit trail. I need to stay focused.
Well, can I ask you a little bit more on that, though? Because I thought that charter schools were basically this sort of wonderful loophole kind of where you could have a school that's publicly funded but essentially privately ran.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
You can have better run schools, was my impression.
Well, you can have it run the way you want it to run. So it incorporates a lot of those private school aspects where they don't have to do everything that public schools have to do, but they still have to do some things. So they still have to take state testing, but they don't. I'm trying to think of a good example of some of the things that they didn't have to do, but I can't really think of anything right now.
So, but it doesn't sound like you're really a fan of the category for charter schools, which is surprising to me.
I don't love. So growing up in Indiana, there was one school system in town. There were a couple, like 3 or 4 private schools, but we just went to the public school. I like the public schools. Both my parents taught at 2 different public high schools.
Okay.
There weren't any options. And when there aren't any options, you're not disgruntled with what you have.
Yep.
Whereas it feels like one of the hottest topics in Nashville is, well, where's your kids go to school? Where your kids go to school? Where your kids go to school?
There's a lot of school choice here.
Right. Right. I feel like it's to our detriment.
It comes with a price. So you do think it can be a little overdone?
Yeah. I think there's just so much. And again, I go back to what I was always telling people. I tried to be really honest about our kids' experiences in school, to say at the charter school that they went to, it wasn't a great fit for my wife and I. I didn't love it. I didn't. My kid had an okay experience there, but I knew kids and families there that loved it. Great. So for me, it was always go there, make your own decisions. Don't base it off what I'm saying, because my kids' needs and what I'm expecting from them are totally different. Mm-hmm. And I think that's where, if you don't know what you want for your kid beyond just what they're going to feel and think when they come home from school, are they going to be seen, known, loved, and valued? There's very few educators that are terrible at that are bad, that are, nobody's in it to hurt kids, but some people do hurt kids. It just, I don't know what I'm trying to say there.
Is, I think, are you making the point that let's not get too caught up in trying to get out of the traditional public school system, like going to a charter school or going private, because there's great teachers in the regular public schools also?
Yeah.
Is that one of the points you're driving at? Yeah, that makes sense.